to get down to business? Join seasoned entrepreneur, community leader, and Army veteran Scott Shalom Klein, who will take you behind the scenes with those who work in America's small business scene and speak with leaders making an impact, creating jobs, and telling their story in entrepreneurship. So let's get down to business. On AM 560, The Answer, here's your host, Shalom Klein.
And indeed, we're all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship and business. We talk all about small business here, and I'm absolutely excited and thrilled and honored to kick it off with an entrepreneur and operations leader who has spent 45 years mastering a uniquely resilient industry. Tim Whitt spent 30 years in a corporate leadership role before launching his own company, Pied Piper Pest and Lawn, from the ground up in the wake of the 2009 financial crisis. He grew it into a multi-state prevention first service brand with a near perfect 4.9-star reputation. Tim is a speaker, coach, and the author of the Amazon #1 bestseller, Infested: End Workplace Drama, Stop Toxic Employees, Build a Thriving Small Business. He's here to talk about why unsexy blue-collar service industries offer the ultimate protection against AI and economic instability, and how understanding pest behavior can help you exterminate toxic culture in your boardroom. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Thank you so much, buddy. Glad to be here today.
Absolutely. 30 years in corporate leadership before shifting to the pest control and lawn care industry. What was that exact moment in your corporate career where you looked around the office and realized that corporate toxicity looked a lot like a pest infestation?
Well, that 30-year stretch was in the pest control industry, so it was kind of a stepping out and an awakening. Yeah, so it was an easy stretch, right? So it was just stepping from a familiar surroundings into private business.
Very, very interesting. Okay, wow. And you launched Pied Piper right in the shadow of the 2009 financial crisis. It's now a multi-state empire. When the ground is crumbling beneath everyday businesses, why do these unsexy blue-collar service industries provide such incredible armor against economic shocks and AI disruption?
Well, I think it comes down to taking what large corporations do well and what they can't do well. That's the secret in the sauce. You know, if you can get your hands around that, you know, that's where the gold mine's at. And of course, with every gold mine, there's a lot of shaft too. So you got to be careful of that.
Oh, there always are. That's for sure. And your book, Infested, it draws a direct line between pests and difficult people. I bet there's some people that are nodding right now. What do cockroaches and rats actually have in common with a toxic employee? And what are the early signs that an employee is silently damaging a company's internal culture?
For sure. You know, in business, we all like to look at business as a machine. It can generate profit, you know, revenue and those things. But, you know, it's more like an aquarium. It's more the culture is the water, you know, that you have in it. So what you bring into it is very important. It's going to really upset it. You know, when you look at roaches, right, they really definitely run when you shine the light. So cautious of those folks that you're dealing with, that when you start asking them questions, they take off. You know, with rats, you know, they're scroungers. They're always looking for something to get into or to pry into or to dig into. So that's another characteristic of them. But, you know, the key is the culture that you're creating every day. You know, every business is an ecosystem, right? So, and there's three key elements to that.
Yeah, tell us more.
Yeah. So when you're looking at, you know, I really drive it down to just three, and there's many in an ecosystem with business, but, you know, you look at the cultural tone, the compensation and benefits, and the operational demands. Usually those are the three things where everybody seems to part water and where it causes the most disruption in business.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Tim, this is so cool. We talk about stewardship of values on the show. You built a prevention-first, relationship-driven brand with a stellar 4.9-star reputation. How do you train a field-based team, which again, your business has grown tremendously, congratulations on that, to protect your brand's core values when they're out on service routes and they're away from your direct supervision?
Yeah, I think you have to instill in them that there's more than me watching them, right? You've got to hire people based on character and teach the talent. You know, so that's what we're looking for is the character of an individual. And the question is, how do you find good character? Well, I think social media is a very good place to look. Everybody seems to put their social media out there, and it's a very good place to look on someone, if you want to see how they're doing in the workplace, right? And also to reference from referral. A lot of times people don't dive down that road much anymore, but you'll be surprised what you can find when you're looking for good people. The other thing too is allowing your employees to do ride-alongs. Have a potential applicant ride with some of your current employees to get a feel for what that person may bring to the table.
Mm-hmm. And Tim, you state that the smartest blue-collar bosses don't spend money on traditional advertising. If you're writing big checks for marketing, perhaps if you're not writing those big checks for marketing, what relationship-driven systems do you use to keep your pipeline full and grow a reputation-based business?
Yeah, even referring a friend into work can also referring a friend into your business. So, we have a very simple $35 referral. So if a client refers a customer to us or a friend, the customer gets the $35 referral as well as the new customer getting a $35 referral. So, it's a benefit all the way around. So when you think about a $75 spend, but the revenue generated from that is substantial. So that alone will pay for itself in a short period of time.
Well, that's a very tactical tip right there for entrepreneurs and for business owners as it relates to marketing, advertising, and ultimately leads to sales. But Tim, let's go back to some of the workplace stuff. When some of the drama breaks out, inevitably, that workplace drama, many business owners make the mistake of ignoring it, letting it pass, or handling it maybe too aggressively, actually jumping in on it. How does a leader step in and stop the spread of toxic behavior without accidentally making the underlying conflict even worse?
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake that a business owner or a manager can make is not knowing the truth. And the truth is just listening to what one story might be. In my business, I have to really identify what's going on before I react, and that's the biggest mistake most managers make or owners make, is they don't know the whole truth, or they don't allow enough time to go by before they know what may have happened. You have to investigate or try to interpret what may have happened. Listen to all the sides before you make a final decision, of what needs to be done. But once you make the decision, stick to it and make it quick, allow it to play out.
I'm chatting with Tim Whitt, who launched his own company, Pied Piper Pest and Lawn, after 30 years in corporate leadership. And again, we've been chatting a little bit about the business, but also his Amazon number one bestseller, Infested: End Workplace Drama, Stop Toxic Employees, Build a Thriving Small Business. We're definitely going to share more on how folks can find that book momentarily. But for the white collar professional or executive that's listening, who's currently staring at a computer screen, feeling vulnerable to corporate layoffs, what's your ultimate case for why they should consider swapping their keyboard for a work truck this year?
Yeah, service-based businesses, right? A great place to be. There's always going to be a need for that. In my industry, we are recession resilient. Insects, they don't care about economic change. The fuel prices do not affect them. It affects us, of course, in our industry. But when it comes down to the change in the economy, they're still going to attack homes and businesses, and birds are still going to land on ledges and annoy the people below them, things of that nature. So, insects and birds and wildlife and termites in homes and, rodents gaining access into building, this is always going to happen. Right. So, when you think ahead, how will AI, attack or come against our industry? I think AI will be a benefit to our industry, and it's even taking place today.
Tim, how can folks find the book?
Amazon's a great place to start, but it is available through audiobook as well. So that's another great place to start. But too, you can track me down on timwitt.com. It's Tim, WHITT.com.
Fantastic. And finally, if a business owner is listening today and realizes that their company culture has already gone completely off track, what's the first operational extermination step that they need to take tomorrow morning to reclaim their peace?
Yeah, self-evaluate. Take your key players in the organization and honestly ask the question, what is going on? What can we do better? And listen and start doing something today.
There's always something you can do today. The book is Infested End Workplace Drama, Stop Toxic Employees, Build a Thriving Small Business. Once again, available on Amazon. You get in touch with Tim Whitt via his website, timwhitt.com. Thank you so much, Tim, for joining us, for inspiring us. We're not going to jump into some extermination tips here on this show. We focused more on the business side, but I know that you are a great resource in that regard as well. Tim, thanks for joining us. We're going to squeeze in a quick break here on the show, all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Don't touch that dial. As always, you can get on my website, syklein.com. And of course, go on your favorite podcast app. Just search for Get Down to Business. Make sure you subscribe, rate, review, and share so you don't miss a single episode. We'll be right back on the show, all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship.